All right, so we have base tag types, all right, which are just the variable themselves. All right, and as we said, there is nothing connecting them. All right, all it is the tag. It's basically memory in the Siemens world. You guys remember that. All right, the other option is alias. All right, and that's just another name for something. So that's what we're doing. We're saying input 3 is this. We're making an alias for. All right, um, and then we have two other tag types in that list. Anyone remember what they were? All right, the other two tag types are produced and consumed. Now, up to this point, you guys have been able to create tags in either the main program tag table or the program or the controller tag table. So we have those two different tag tables. Produced and consumed are how we're going to be one of the ways that we are going to be getting information from another PL. Right. So those tags have to be in the controller tag table. It can't be in the program tag table. And the PLC will not let you do that otherwise. It won't let you make a produced one in the program tag table. It has to be in the controller, and it will basically that if you try. And again, the reason for this is the controller tag table is always accessible, right? So it's accessible to everybody. So program, on the other hand, isn't. So that's why if we're trying to do something on the network, it needs to be always accessible. It has to be up here in controller tag. So first thing we need to do when we are doing networking is we actually need to connect to our other PLCs. Right? So to do that, just like we'd come down here to complex bus local and we'd say new module, instead of that, we're going to go to the Ethernet port and say new correctly. Not what I want. Sorry, click on Ethernet and say new module. Thank you. Okay, let's try that again. Get up again. Oh, it is. Okay. Then you're going to come down to our 1769. Yep, there we go. And we're doing the L32 Ethernet port, not the L35, because we're on the 1760 L32. You're going to say, okay, that's fine for that revision. And now it's asking you for a name. So this is saying, hey, what name are we going to give this PLC you're trying to attach to? All right. I don't care what you guys want to name these. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to call mine Murphy for this point, and it's giving me an IP address. This is when you have to go to your partner group and go, hey, what's your IP address? And they'll hopefully tell you that it's 192.168.152.25. And you would say, okay. Read everything. You can just go ahead and hit OK again. And now you'll notice down here that we actually have the Murphy controller and the Murphy controller, and we have the Ethernet port on them. That information is now there. Now we can come up here to controller tags, do a new tag, and I'm going to call this consumed. And for type, I'm going to make it consumed. Make this a. That's right. It has to be a DINT. Producer name. Oh, connection. You have to set up the name. So consumed is me going to someone else's PLC and grabbing information. This is kind of like punching them in the face and saying, give me your wallet. Like, they don't have an option. If they have set up their tag to be consumed, anybody on the network can go steal it. Or at least steal that information. So we have to come in here. So I'm saying I'm going to create a consume tag. So on my PLC, I'm going out and I'm eating your information, consuming it. So let's say I'm going to go with the Murphy controller and the remote data. I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it stage. Correct. Yep. So I'm going to say okay. Now it should be happy and I can go ahead and hit okay. There you can see it. And then I'm going to create a new tag, and this time I'm going to create a produced tag. Leave it as a dint. Go ahead and hit OK. There we go. Now, we are sending, because these are dints, 32 bits of information. All right. So you don't have to have 32 different tags. You know, if you need to send, because you're all going to be running 3 different stages, you don't need to send stage 1. You know, you don't have to have a consume tag for stage 1, consume tag for stage 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. No, you can say dot 0 is my stage 1, dot 2 is my, dot 1 is stage 2, dot 3 is stage 3, dot 4 is stage 4. You know, you could do that and it'll all work fine. In the past, I've actually had my final and I had one PLC hardwired to something, and I basically said, "Hey guys, you know, here are all the tags," and I had all my produced tag and consume tags on the board written out for my PLC, hardwired to everything. So you guys were actually using my PLC as remote I/O. Was all it was. You guys would, I would go into your device and consume the tag that you were giving me for all your outputs, and I would produce all my inputs. And based on me flipping a switch, it would say, okay, I'm going to get Tom's, or I'm going to get Jeff's, or Mike's, so I could just change PLC I was getting information from. So it was showing that you could produce tags, you could consume tags, and all that. Kind of a fun little. Anyway, you don't have to send. You know, if you're only sending one Boolean, you know, you have 32 different Booleans that we could put here. So as long as you guys are talking correctly, you can produce one tag and consume one tag, and 32 different Booleans of information back and forth between. So a lot of capability there in the long run with just one single tag. Just something to be. So at this point, if I would connect up to Murphy, whoever is on 22.5, whatever PLC I set that, we would be good. Now, if we do go back to my produced tag here, do it or no? So, if you come into connection, and you're making your produced tag, it says max consumers is right defaults to 1. What do you think that means? Yep, only one person can be connected and actually getting that information. Once there's one person connected, a second one tries to connect, it's denied access. Now, if we're only working in groups of 2, it isn't really a big issue. If we're working in groups of 4, that could be a problem. So you do need to keep this into account. Now, at the same point, at least for our purposes, having like this set to 200 or whatever, it's not going to really cause any problem. In theory, if you had it set too high and some malicious person got on the network and they were somehow able to figure out what your tags were called, they could come onto your PLC and grab that off of it and be getting information without actually having the authorization to. So this is a little bit of a security. It's also for network bandwidth and all. You don't want to have more people connected to your tags than need to be because it's just more data that's being sent back and forth. All right, so questions there. Produced versus consumed. Overall, I think it makes sense, right? It's just produced is saying, hey, here's my information, and consume is going, give me your information. Like someone being stuck up willingly. One remembers Eurotrip, that one. All right, so that is all I got for my producing right now. Right. Next class, we're going to dive into this. I'm just going to have you guys doing simple like sending information back and forth so that you can get information from one person and then get it from. We will talk about the message protocol at some point. If I where the hell it is. Always forget where. Oh, there's advanced math. Non-linear time cosines. Man, Anyway, there's also a message command which we will talk about. I'm going to get you guys on produced and consumed first, then we'll dive into the whole message. All right, questions for me? Not at this point. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in a week or a few days, depending on who you are.